Welcome to Disrupt, Dominate, Delegate, the podcast for women who are done playing small and ready to take up all the damn space. I'm Brooke Norland, and I'm here to help you break the rules, own your expertise, and stop wasting time on the shit that doesn't serve you. We don't do business that fits into someone else's mold. We burn blueprints, and we build our empire on our terms. If you're ready to disrupt the status quo, dominate your industry, and finally delegate the tasks that are holding you back, you're in the right place. Let's get to work. Today, I have no notes. I have no agenda other than I just want to talk to you about a couple things that have been on my mind. So we're going to do that today and see how that goes, because sometimes when I'm in a mood like this, the ADHD brain just takes over and creates magic. And sometimes it's just what it is. But either way, we're going to have a conversation today, and I think it's going to be good. I hope it's going to be good, because there's a couple of things that have been rolling around in my brain that I want to talk about today. One of those things is I was recalling, I shared a reel into my stories today, and the reel was actually about libraries and how they're unique because it's kind of like one of the last places on earth where we can just go and not be expected to spend money. In the kind of world that we live in today, everywhere you go, it's like you can't leave the house. My husband and I joke about this sometimes. You cannot leave the house and not spend like $200 anymore. It's like you got to go buy gas, or you're getting groceries, or you're running a quick errand, or you're going to the post office, or whatever it is. It just feels like $200 leaves every single time I step out that door. And the library is one of those places you can go, one of those last places we have that you can go and not be expected to spend any money. And it reminded me, because I shared it on my business story, it reminded me of a time a few years back when I had started stepping into minimalism in my life a little bit more. And I really didn't know what that meant to me at the time. I just knew that I was really frustrated with like everything. Just there's so much stuff in my house. The way that I was spending money, it just didn't feel good. And I remember starting to talk about that journey in my stories and in my content. And at the time, I was selling a physical product. And I remember someone who I admired a great deal at the time was telling me that this was contradicting everything I was doing and I shouldn't be talking about it anymore. Or at least I needed to find a new way to talk about it. Because if I was telling people to not spend money, then they weren't going to spend money with me. And this was like this counterproductive thing. And I remember feeling really bad about that. And maybe not why for the reason you think. It was a part of my life at the time. I was feeling really authentic in that and talking about that moment in my life. And all of a sudden, because someone who I trusted to have my best interest my best interest in the top of their mind was telling me this wasn't going to work. I needed to switch gears. Don't be who you are in this moment. Find a new way to be who you are, because you're going to cause problems. It didn't feel good, but I did. I switched up my messaging and I found a new way to talk about minimalism. I found a new way to talk about simplification over minimalism. And I did that for a while. It worked. But did it feel like 100% authentically me? No, sure didn't. Because it's not how I was feeling in the moment. So when I was creating that content, and honestly, it was good content and it did well, I felt crummy about it. And eventually that content that didn't feel good, I couldn't create anymore because I felt crummy about it. And eventually that all fell off and I just started not talking about it at all anymore because it didn't feel good and it wasn't authentic and true to who I was. And anyway, so that sort of fell off the map. And I wanted to talk about that because I shared that reel or that into my stories today, and that old feeling of don't share this, because if you tell people not to be spending money, they're not going to spend money with you. And that's bullshit. It just is. I don't want anyone spending money with me if it's not what they need and want in their life right now. And that's what I want for everyone. I don't want you to spend money on things that you don't need or want in your life right now. I want you to be very intentional with your money, because that money is your power. I talk about it all the time, how I want women to have wealth. This is my mission. Because if you listen to my very first podcast episode when I talked about how women spend money differently and how I want to help as many people as I possibly can to create that wealth for themselves, because it means so many different things for women. I want you to be intentional with your purchase too. I want you to be intentional with the way you spend your money. I want you to be intentional with where you put your money, because women naturally we just do different things with money. We just do. And so I shared that reel and it brought all those feelings back of, you shouldn't talk about minimalism. You shouldn't talk about spending your money intentionally. You shouldn't talk about all of these things, because then people won't spend money with you. You're telling people not to spend money anymore. And that is absolutely not the case. I am telling people to be intentional with their money. I'm telling people to do things sometimes that don't cost money. I am telling people that sometimes you can consume a whole bunch of content on the internet and not have to spend a dime with a coach at all. I am telling people that that is okay, because I believe that in my heart of hearts. And I don't want anyone spending money with me that doesn't feel like this is aligned with the intention that they want to bring into their life. Is that counterintuitive to a capitalistic mindset that just wants people to spend money just for spending money's sake so that I can make more money? Yeah, that's counterproductive to that mindset, but that is not the mindset that I exist in. And that is okay. That is good. And I really needed to get that off my chest. And I hope that it leaves you with a message, with a feeling that if someone is coming at you today, and it doesn't have to be with the same thing, but if you're sharing something and it feels good to you, but maybe it doesn't feel quite in line with what you think you should be doing, or maybe someone is directly in your ear telling you that's not what you should be doing, I would challenge you to challenge that thought. If it feels good to you, find a way for it to work for you and what is authentic to you and your messaging and what you want to talk about. The other thing is, it's not really a 180, but it's a different topic in a way. Social media. I've been having so many conversations with people about social media right now. And it's not different conversations than we've always had. It's just that things are constantly changing in social media. So we always have these questions. Should I post once a day? Should I post twice a day? What time of day should I post? What should I post on Tuesdays versus what do I post on Fridays? And these conversations, we're continually having them. And I have finally gotten to the point where I really don't give a shit. I post when I want to post, especially now, friend. News, if you don't know, I lost my Instagram account and I have started a new one because I can't get the old one back. Long story. And I don't have access to scheduled reels. I could go get a third party and do it that way. I understand, but I don't have access to scheduled reels the way I used to, like organically or in within the Instagram app. So I'm posting them as I have time to post them and when I can get to it, because that's just the way it is. I'm also utilizing drafts and stuff like that, but that's just the way it is. I've given up on the perfection of when do I post? How many times should I post? I'm just posting. And so far it's doing just fine. But it got me thinking too about a lot of the other things that happen in social media that we find ourselves questioning or talking about or wondering about, and how to answer those questions. And I don't the thing that I came to is I don't think it matters how we answer those questions. But I did get to thinking about the psychology of how I consume things on social media. A lot of people are like, I just don't get as many likes or follows or something from reels as I used to. And I was like, you're onto something there, because I consume a lot of content, right? As we all do. And we're swiping like this. And even when I see a reel and I laugh or I find it interesting or useful, typically I don't even save it or like it. I don't anymore, because it has to really capture my attention in order for that to do that now. The way that I consume content is so different. I'm just taking things in so quickly. And because this has just become more of a part of my life now, it's different than it used to be. It takes a lot for me to double tap on a reel. It takes me a lot to click on that person's name and go check out the profile and follow them. It just takes a lot more. So I think because that's happened, the things that we need to really focus on, again, are our messaging, be truly authentic to who we are. Ask ourselves, what does this person need from me at this point in time? And how am I going to deliver that so that it makes sense to them? Like, you really just have to really hone in into who our target audience is and just speak so clearly to them in order to get all of this stuff accomplished, to get people following us, to get people liking our. And I don't say this to any of you to like freak you out. I hope it's a comforting thing, because we hear a lot of people say, oh, it's your content sucks, and that's why you're not getting this, that, or the other thing. And honestly, it could be the case. It could be. Everyone's different. But I also think we have to take into consideration that the way that people are consuming content and creating content and following people and intentionally putting people into their lives and into their feed is so different from the way that it used to be. If we take that into account and we focus so much more on who we want to follow us, who we want to be a part of our lives, and who we engage with and who we talk to, etc., and who we bring into this circle, if we're just a little bit more intentional about that, and we're okay with seeing the numbers being a little smaller, our views being smaller, our follower count being a little smaller, but it's more intentional and it's more on purpose and it's more aligned and authentic and true and all that stuff, then really, is that so bad? Is it so bad? I don't think so. So I think my message this week is honestly just intention, authenticity, and, not worrying so damn much. As business owners, we got so much to think about and worry about. And maybe that's not great advice. Maybe it's not the perfect advice, but it is advice that has brought me a lot of peace and calm. And I'm still running a successful business today. So take it and use it and make it your own. But I think it's okay to not be so worked up all the time about all the things and to just show up the way we want to show up and put things out there that we want to put out there and not overthink it so much. I think it's okay. It's okay. All right. I'm going to sign off for the week. I hope that this found you in a really great place. And I hope that it left you in an even better one. Let's get to work.